If you leave Twitter for like 3 months and come back, you'll feel like, why are these people arguing over something so, like, why? Hello everyone, it's Luli, and today I'd like to go through 5 different drama topics that happen in the Otome community time and time and time again. But before I start, I actually have some great news for you. I am holding a giveaway for 1 EU digital copy of Battlefield Waltz that's coming out in early April. If you would like a chance at winning, do comment a question you have for me in the comments below, and then I will hold a Q&A session announcing the winner. Also, I would like to thank all of those who have supported me and my channel in Patreon, subs, memberships. It really means so much to me. It keeps my motivation up. Also, I would like to thank those who have boosted my server. I really appreciate that as well. But without further ado, let me start. So, recently we have been getting more of an influx of Otome people coming into the Otome community, and as a result, people are asking the exact same questions every month. And then because of those questions, people get angry over them, or it spreads. Like, one person will put like one innocent tweet, sometimes innocent, sometimes it's almost like they're doing it on purpose, but then it causes this massive fire almost in the community. Now, I personally think that most of the time it's like the pettiest thing. If you leave Twitter for like 3 months and come back, you'll feel like, why are these people arguing over something so, like, why, right? But if you're constantly on Twitter, it sometimes feels like it's really important and you have to say how you feel. Now, I thought it would be fun to do this video so that we could each look at these 5 different topics that keep on coming up, and maybe like kind of, try and think about it calmly and move on with your life, because at the end of the day, none of these will affect you. At least I don't think they will. So, Otome community drama statement 1. And this one's probably the one that used to bother me the most, and it's the, why are all Otome game main characters so bland and boring and they don't have any faces? Whereas this one particular one is so special because she's like strong and stuff. I think the problem with this statement is it usually comes from someone who's maybe played like 1 or 2 Otome games, and it happens to be like ones that just happen to have a bland main characters, because anyone who has played more than, let's say, 5 console Otome games know for sure that Otome game main characters come in so many different shapes and forms. In fact, I've put them all here right now. They are all Otome game main characters. They all look different and they all have different personalities. So it's kind of like you can't help but think, where's this person taking this from, and it kind of stirs that anger in some people, especially those who have a real passion for the genre. Another thing is, I think often these people kind of have maybe played Otome games, because I have seen some tweets that are like, oh, I've played so many Otome games out there and they're usually bland main characters. I think they are thinking of like early 2000s mobile Otome games where the main characters have like no face. Sorry, it's just funny because like that's so old school, like that. So if that's what they're thinking about, it's like, I just try more, please, and then you'll see why this has caused so much drama. But really, this one comes out time and time and time again, and it's just sort of like, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where you're like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Otome community drama statement number 2. This one often gets, this is actually probably one that blows up the most, and it is the, why can't Otome game main characters be male? Look, I see where that person has come to that conclusion, right? A lot of like BL games, a lot of shoujo games, like the majority do focus way too much on like physical relations, if you know what I mean. There's like skin color, left, right, and center, and you're like, I just want really girly romance. And a lot of Otome games have that girly romance. And so I completely understand why someone might want their own, like, the gender that they identify with, because it's not just I want a male main character, you also get I want, you know, a pronouns option, for example. And I do understand that it comes from a place where you're probably experiencing all these games that have main characters you identify as, but they're, you know, super just too spicy. And I completely get that. Especially recently I've been playing BL games and it can be a bit much. However, the problem is you're barking up the wrong tree. So, you know, instead of asking the Otome genre to change, I suppose, the best approach would be to try and encourage like the BL genre, like the devs that work in those categories, to develop something that suits a more like soft taste, if you know what I mean. Because you've got amare games, which are games that are, you know, you tend to be able to pick pronouns. You've got a variety of different love interests of different genders, that sort of thing. And then you've got BL games, boys love games, where it's, you know, guy on guy. So I think the best solution for people who are very much like, I really want a main character that's, you know, I can identify, is to go to developers that make those games. Because you're not gonna, I'm sorry to say it, but you're not gonna change the Otome game genre. It's just not gonna happen. And look, I get it, right? I really do get it. And most of the time, it comes from like just an innocent tweet, and then someone with loads of followers like retweets it, but like in a way that sounds really angry, and everyone gets really mad. I get it, just you're barking up the wrong tree, and if you make this statement, everyone's gonna jump you, okay? So now, occasionally you do have the more harmful version of Otome games. Are always like, why are we getting so many Otome games? I'm fed up of it. I want something with a male main character. And, you know, it does, like, as a woman, I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of think, well, we women have kind of put up with is probably the wrong word, but we have been happy with games in general that have male main characters. We just play them. They're fun. So it would be nice if we could have our little corner, you know? Like, this picture really felt like it hit hard because I really felt like these people. So yeah, I think that's another reason why it can blow up a little bit, because yeah, it just, as a woman, I do kind of feel, you know, like, oh, that's not really fair, is it? Type of thing. Come on now. But anyway, this all relates to Otome community drama point number 3, which is, what is an Otome game? Oh my dear lord, this is another one that keeps on coming out over and over and over again. I'm not gonna say what I think an Otome game is, because I cannot be arsed with the discussion that could lead to. But there are several sort of opinions that float around when this question comes up, and one is that any game that is for women is classed as an Otome game. Whereas you've got the opposite extreme, which is like, no, an Otome game is literally, you have to have a female main character. You have to have several love interests that you can pursue the roots of. And then you've got in between where people say, you know, games like Love and Deep Space or Tears of Themis are like Otome games, but you know, people do get a bit touchy and they say, no, that's not an Otome game because it doesn't have like specific roots with their specific stories that are like the main story, if that makes sense. So, and then because people are very like protective of their personal opinions regarding what is and isn't an Otome game, and then you've got definitions from the West and you've got definitions from the East, and then that collides, and this one can actually get very, I think this one's the one that gets quite emotional as well, because like, yeah, people have these opinions, they feel very protective of them, so when this discourse comes out, they think they are right and everyone else is wrong. And obviously when you speak as if your opinion is the truth, it can kind of bother other people. So I feel like with this one, the best thing to do is just to kind of move on. Say, you know, it's fine. You have your opinion, I have mine. Let's just leave it at that. Because at the end of the day, does it really matter what your or my definition of an Otome game is? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've got my opinions. If someone else disagrees, I really don't care. Like, they can have their opinions, I can have mine. I just don't really think the topic is worth getting like really mad or upset over, if you know what I mean. I just don't think it's worth it. Are you in the West looking to buy visual novels from DL site, but Visa and MasterCard aren't working for you? Or simply you have crypto lying around and you really want to spend it on pretty waifus or handsome husbandos? Because if you answered yes to any of these questions, then I have some great news for you. DL site has now implemented a system, DL Pay, in which you can use your crypto to purchase DL points. DL points can then be used as currency on DL site to purchase all the games that you would like. Now there's no need to convert your assets back into traditional currency. So what are you waiting for? Enjoy DL site through DL Pay. Okay, Otome game community drama point 4. The misunderstanding of this one. Right, okay, so we're talking, typically people talk about the sort of Japanese Otome games. And a comment I sometimes see is, why are all the Otome game love interests white? And I see where you're coming from. Maybe they do look white, but they're actually Japanese or Asian or whatever is specified in the game. From, like, as someone who I guess grew up in Japan and has that kind of Japanese brain in certain aspects still, when I see Otome game love interest, I don't even see a race. I'm just sort of thinking this is anime race. They have naturally blue hair, for goodness sake. No race has that. Like, I guess that kind of is the way I see things. I'm not seeing them as Japanese or white. I know maybe they look that way, but I guess my brain is wired in a very Japanese way in that sense. So I find it really interesting when people say, why are they all white? Because not only are they in Japan doing Japanese things and saying Japanese stuff, but I guess in my mind they don't look white. But like, if I try and look objectively, like from a Western perspective, I guess I do see why people would get that impression, especially if they've got like blue or green eyes or something and have blonde hair. That I understand, but not all, never are all the love interests with blonde hair and blue eyes. So anyway, now a whole different topic is, I suppose, putting that aside, another topic, I don't think this one is really like one that causes drama necessarily, but I think it does come up that there aren't many Otome games with main characters that are, you know, a minority, and that I do understand is kind of sucks. Again, the Eastern companies aren't really going to cater to the more Western, I guess, desires would be the best way to put it. But that's why I do really appreciate the indie devs that are working on that, like these. Do check them out. I put the links in the comments. One you've got like a demo of, and I think you can play 2 characters. I can't remember. I did back them. And another one is, I keep on talking about it, but College Craze, which you can literally choose your own race, which is really exciting. So check them out. Anyway. Last but not least is Otome Game Community Drama Statement 5. This one doesn't happen that often, to be honest, but it has happened. There was one time when someone made a harmless comment and then it blew up. Like, someone, I think, took that, quoted about it because they misunderstood that tweet, and then because of that, everyone was like, oh my god, what are they talking about? It just blew up. So, you know, sometimes it's actually good to look at this, like, base source of where this all came from, because I have noticed sometimes it genuinely is just a harmless, like, statement. But this fifth one is, and the way I phrased it is a little bit less like that, a bit more harmful, but there should never be any toxic content in Otome games, and people who play them are messed up in the head. This one's a bit problematic for me because I love messed up content. But I think often you know, when this sort of quote appears, it does have a bit of a judgmental twang to it, and naturally there are so many Otome games out there that do kind of cover very questionable topics or have questionable tropes, like the yandere trope. That is the most toxic thing ever. Usually it involves a guy imprisoning a girl. Like, it's screwed up. That is so messed up. Avoid at all costs in reality. But that's the thing about fiction. It's like, it's completely separate. Whenever I play these games, I play as if I'm a fly on the wall watching this drama happen. So for someone to go, oh my god, you're gross for playing any Otome game with like these toxic things in it, is a bit like, really? Like, where's this coming from? Why are you making it out to seem like, why are you sitting on the high ground looking down on people? You know, so I think this one I do genuinely feel is quite harmful. Honestly, I have come across a case where they've just played a game, they didn't realize there was a certain trigger, they were hurt because they encountered it, felt triggered, upset, and they made like a tweet that was in the moment, didn't really mean anything, like, oh man, I hate the fact that Otome games have toxic tropes sometimes, or something like that, and that blew up, right? So sometimes you do get like a case where it's completely harmless and it's just blown up, and usually I do feel really sorry for these people, so I do like reach out to them because I'm like, look, I get you, if you know what I mean. But I feel like there are times when people are extremely judgmental and it rubs people the wrong way. So, you know, it is one of those things. But anyway, regardless, moving on, those are the 5 that I often come across. If there are any more, do let me know so that I can like low-key giggle about it. Best way to deal with this is literally just, you know, if you read these things, just move on. You don't need to say anything. This will blow by. It usually takes about a day or 2 and people even forget. Like, they've forgotten about this bit of drama. So don't let it bother you. If you read something that annoys you, just move on. It's not worth the emotional investment and suffering that you could go through from it. But anyway, as is always the case, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Again, I'm holding a giveaway. If you would like to enter for a digital code of Battlefield Waltz, an EU copy, then comment below a question that you have for me. But anyway, that's it. Again, thank you, and hopefully I will see you again. Bye!